With Ocean's 8 coming out next week in America, there is no better time to finally sit down and watch the first 3 Ocean's films, 11, 12 and 13, than now, so let's do it. Starting off with Ocean's 11, the first one of the trilogy, and to me it's easily the best one of the trilogy. I really enjoyed Ocean's 11 because it was a very simple yet really slick and well made heist film. It wasn't overly complicated and wasn't too hard to follow what was going on. It was a relatively simple story. George Clooney, Danny Ocean, gets out of prison, so he wants to rob Andy Garcia, who's just taken his wife Julia Roberts away from him. So Danny Ocean plans to get a crew together to rob 3 casinos in one night, all these casinos owned by Andy Garcia. So then he gets his crew together, starts preparing for the heist, getting all the things in place, and then he starts to execute the heist, and boom. Very simple heist film, very easy to follow, but really enjoyable. I love George Clooney as Danny Ocean. He's just so smooth and so charismatic. He just sits there and just smiles all the time because he just knows what's going on. And with Ocean's 11, I really enjoyed seeing the heist come together. I've played a lot of GTA 5 in my time and playing those heists in that game, doing the heist prep, so watching these guys getting all the stuff together and, you know, putting on the disguises and pretending to be part of the casino staff, it just took me back to playing GTA 5 for the first time and seeing the heist come together in that aspect. And I also liked how everybody a part of the team had their role to play in the heist. There was no like extra baggage, and the soundtrack was really great as well. It was this really cool jazzy soundtrack. It just fit the Las Vegas vibe and also the heist vibe very, very well. Ocean's 11 isn't really a compelling film necessarily, but it was a really entertaining, fast paced and really cool, slick and stylish heist film that I really enjoyed watching, so I'm going to give Ocean's 11 a 4 out of 5. Now we come on to Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 13, and I honestly wasn't a big fan of either of these films, to be honest. Especially Ocean's 12 because it was so much busier and so much messier than Ocean's 11. They jump around all sorts of different locations, there's lots of names being thrown about, and it just made it really hard to follow at times. I was just watching the film and I was like, okay, they're here, and what exactly are they doing right now? Why are they here? Why are they there? What's this guy doing? I just got lost. And it tries to go for the twist and it tries to be really, really clever, but ultimately it just provides more questions than answers, so it just doesn't do itself any favours by trying to be too clever for its own good. That's the thing with a lot of films nowadays. They try to be really clever and throw all these plot twists because they think they're really, really smart films, but in the end it just comes across really convoluted and messy, like Ocean's 12. Throwing more chefs into the kitchen doesn't make the thing you're cooking any better. And is it just me, or is that whole segment where Julia Roberts' character Tess starts impersonating Julia Roberts like really strange? Because it's Julia Roberts playing a character who's impersonating Julia Roberts, so it kind of felt like a parody of sorts. You know, look, it's Julia Roberts playing Julia Roberts, and there's Bruce Willis who thinks it's Julia Roberts, and it got really weird. I was like, what's the point of this whole sequence? I actually watched all 3 Ocean's films in one day a couple of days ago before doing this video, and I honestly don't remember all that much about Ocean's 12, to be honest. I just remember it being really messy, convoluted, all over the place, nowhere near as good as Ocean's 11, a very big step down for a sequel, so I'm going to give Ocean's 12 a 2 out of 5. And now we come to the last one, Ocean's 13. Now a lot of people like Ocean's 13, has a pretty high rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Some people say that it went back to the formula of the first one, which it does in the sense that it's a much more simple story compared to Ocean's 12, and I like that about Ocean's 13. Rubin does this deal with Al Pacino's character, and Al Pacino screws him over. Rubin has a heart attack, so George Clooney, Danny Ocean, wants to get revenge on Al Pacino, so all the crew comes together to try and sabotage the opening night of Al Pacino's new casino hotel. Much simpler story, very easy to follow, but for me, Ocean's 13, it just didn't pop for me. I was watching the film and I just didn't get into the heist. I didn't get into the motivation behind the heist itself, you know, because Rubin had the heart attack and they want to get revenge. I couldn't get behind the revenge motivation of it. But the actual heist at the end of the film itself was pretty cool. I liked their plans and I liked what they did to screw over Al Pacino, because he has that artificial intelligence thing that reads people's emotions to try and check to see if their wins are genuine or not. So they shut that down and then they rig all the machines to pay out like millions and millions and millions of dollars. Everyone walks out the door, they simulate the earthquake and they just walk out the door with all the money, and then they try and steal the jewels, and then that French guy from the second film tries stealing the jewels off them, but he gives them the fake ones and they airlift the real ones out at the top of the casino. Some really cool high stuff at the end of 13, and that last 10 to 15 minutes saved Ocean's 13 from full-on badness for me. But the rest of it, like I said, I found kind of boring. There's nothing about it that's like super wrong like Ocean's 12. It's just nothing about it popped for me. Like I said, it never never clicked for me. The film itself overall was okay, so I'm going to give Ocean's 13 a 2.5 out of 5. So those are my quick thoughts on the 3 Oceans films, just in time for Ocean's 8 coming out pretty soon. It comes out on the 18th of June in the UK, so it's another late one for us, so bear with me on that video. But in the meantime, tell me down there what your thoughts on the original 3 Oceans films are, and if you want to see more of my stuff, click on one of these, and I'll see you all in the next video.